Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. In today's video we have my Game Week 3 team selection. I have indeed already made a transfer and there may be more transfers yet to come. Before we jump into the video, I just wanted to massively thank you for all of the support on the content recently. The likes, comments, views, just everything has been absolutely crazy, but I read every single comment and I massively appreciate all the support truly from the bottom of my heart. So thank you. If you're someone that likes, comments, subscribes, even if you just watch from afar, I massively appreciate you. But without further ado, let's jump into today's video. So guys, wasting no time at all, we're going to jump straight into the Game Week 3 team selection. If you're interested in how I did in Game Week 2, the recent 2 videos that I uploaded this week, I discussed my Game Week 2 in a bit more detail. It was another great week for me, 78 points, 157 points overall, which puts me on about 69, 70k, which listen, it's a fantastic start to the season and I'm absolutely delighted. And the plan that we had to go with a flexible squad, money in the bank, to pick a fairly safe team to start with, it's all gone very well for me. I'm sure there will be people, let me know down below if you're currently better than my rank. There will be people that are definitely ranked higher, but I'm very happy with the start. But I'm not kidding myself and thinking that I've suddenly won FPL. In a couple of weeks, I could be ranked 3 or 4 million. At the start of the season, ranks are so volatile that it's almost not worth looking at. And again, I want to reinforce, if you've had a poor start or a slightly slow start and you're ranked like 3, 4, 5, even 6, 7, 8 million, it really doesn't matter at this stage of the season. You can be ranked that low and still go on to have a brilliant finish because we've only had 2 game weeks. It works out at about 5% of the season. Still 95% of the season left. Don't stress if you've had a bad start. Just start thinking, well, how do I start having a few good game weeks in a row? Forget what's happened. The past is the past. Focus on the present game week and the future as well and try and get around that. So don't stress if you've had a poor start. Still play FPL. Still keep engaging. Still keep watching the content too. Ahead of Game Week 3, like I said, I have actually made one transfer, which we'll get onto when we look at that player. I'm setting up in a 4-4-2 once again. It might end up being a 3-5-2. I've got 100.4 team value, and after making the transfer that I've made, I've got 0.4 million in the bank. So I'm still in a really good position, and I've still got 1 free transfer, because remember, I've gone into Game Week 3 with 2 free transfers, already used 1. So if I do want to make another move this week, if you guys see something in my team that you think would be a good move, let me know down below. I can still make that this week, because as we'll discuss in the final section, I don't actually need to make many transfers in Game Week 4 at the moment. So it might be that I actually attack this week a little bit. So starting in goal, Ramsdale again, we're going to mention him every week. I'm not going to take him out before my wild card. The only slightly frustrating thing, I suppose, about having Ramsdale is it doesn't allow the Arsenal triple up in attack. But I knew this. I knew it was very unlikely that I'd want to take out Diaz anyway. And I knew that by having Ramsdale in goal, I'm pretty much ruling myself out of getting Saka. But to be honest, Martinelli looks like the one to own at the moment anyway, alongside Gabriel Jesus. So I'm very happy with Ramsdale, hoping that Bournemouth and Fulham across the next 2, that you can get at least 1 clean sheet, preferably 2. And they are 2 really good fixtures. And like I said, Arsenal have really good fixtures right up until that Game Week 9 wildcard that we're planning. Trent has been slightly frustrating. The Liverpool defence has been slightly frustrating. But again, from Game Week 3 to Game Week 8, when you look at clean sheet percentages and clean sheet odds, Liverpool are still the team at the top of the list for that. So I would still expect them to get maybe 3 or 4 clean sheets before the Game Week 9 wildcard. And I do expect Trent and Robertson to come good. Specifically, Trent has still looked pretty dangerous going forward. Even Robertson, though, has been getting into some great positions. And I said over on Twitter, for me, Trent and Robertson are not sells at the moment. Listen, if you've already sold Robertson and it's to allow you to upgrade your midfields, but maybe like an upgrade in Neto to an £8 million midfielder, I fully appreciate and understand that. But for me, that they're not sells. You've brought them in for a reason. They've still got exceptional attacking potential. Robertson in particular has been getting into some ridiculous positions. I do think they'll come good, and Manchester United looks like it could be a fixture to do so. James and Cancelo are the other 2 sort of premium defenders in the team. James is someone that I started the season with because we knew his attacking potential. We knew how good he was for bonus points. And when he plays at right wing back, he's absolutely deadly. And I think some people that maybe didn't start the season with James are looking at the fixtures coming up for Chelsea, looking at how good he is when he plays right wing back and thinking, maybe I get him in. So I've seen quite a few people making the switch from Robertson to James. I think that is a really nice transfer, and I guess you are saving £1 million by doing so. By the time of you watching this, there might have been a price change, though, with James going up and Robertson going down. So hopefully you've caught that if that was your planned transfer. And then Cancelo, like I said, I just think the City defence is just really, really good. I'd arguably like double or triple or even quadruple City defence. If you can own like more than 3 players from each team, I would probably be on sort of like 2 or 3 City defenders. The issue is with the other City defenders and bringing them in is I don't want to take Ramsdale out to bring in Ederson. And I'm pretty happy with my defence as it is. I don't necessarily think Walker is much better than the other defenders I've got as my option. So that's the only reason for now that I don't have a second City defender. But I think if you have the opportunity to get one in, it's probably a pretty good play moving forward. This might be be their trickiest fixture up until game week 9 against Newcastle away in game week 3. But outside of that, the fixtures are fantastic. Cancelo, I still think is worth the extra money over a Walker, over a Diaz, over an Ake. I still think that with the bonus points and the positions he's getting in, he's had the most touches in the final third out of all defenders this season. I think something like 84 in the first few weeks. So he's getting a lot of touches in the final third. He gets touches in the box as well. I do think attacking returns will come very soon. And I think alongside the bonus points as well, I just think he's an absolute monster to own. And I think, like I said, I genuinely do believe he's worth the extra money over a Walker, Ake or Diaz. The final person in the back four is actually Nico Williams. Now, I've, like most people, got Andreas Pereira on the bench at the moment. So I could maybe play Andreas Pereira ahead of Nico Williams and switch to a 3-5-2. Let me know down below, who do you, assuming Andreas Pereira is fit, which we'll get hopefully in the press conferences, who do you prefer out of Nico Williams and Andreas Pereira? For me, I just think that, listen, Nico Williams looks so good going forward. He got in some really good positions. He got off something like 4 or 5 shots against West Ham. So whilst I don't necessarily back the Forest defence, and I'm not expecting a clean sheet against Everton, the possibility for a clean sheet's there because Everton really still don't have a recognised striker. They're not great going forward. And I just think that Williams has quite a bit of attacking potential at wing-back. So I just think that he maybe has more routes to points than Andreas Pereira does. And as a result, I may be leaning towards Williams. And I do think that Brentford have looked really good, and that's not necessarily an easy fixture for Fulham. So at the moment, I've actually got Nico Williams in the starting 11. If I do use my second free transfer, it would probably be, as we'll get onto in a second, to take Trippier out. And if I do that, then Nico Williams would probably drop to the bench anyway. But at the moment, that's the back sort of the 5 defenders. Ramsdale, Trent, Williams, James, Cancelo. I'm very happy with all of them. The only one that looks like they've got a tricky fixture when you just first glance at it is Trent. But then you realise Manchester United are absolutely terrible at the moment. It's probably the best fixture of the bunch. So really happy with the defence. Let's move on to looking at the midfield. So starting with the Liverpool double up, Salah and Diaz. They're going to stay in my team probably until my Game Week 9 wildcard. I don't see any reason to take them out. I still think that most weeks Salah is the best captaincy. Yes, Liverpool haven't looked great going forwards or defensively. That will change soon. Klopp will get the best out of them. And to be honest, I think they've been unlucky in both games potentially. They didn't concede a massive amount of XG in either game. And I do think they were unlucky not to score more. So I think from Game Week 3 onwards, this is a good fixture for them to bounce back, and I expect Liverpool to still be fantastic value. So I've got no intentions to sell Salah and Diaz. And as you can see at the moment, I do have the armband on Salah. I do think it's very close between Salah and Jesus, are probably my 2 favourite options this week. But for me, I just think extra point for a clean sheet, extra point for a goal. Salah's on penalties, whereas Jesus probably isn't. He could still take a pen. He's probably not on penalties, though. And Salah loves playing against Man United, and Man United looks so poor defensively, arguably even worse than Bournemouth. So for all of those reasons, at the moment, I've currently got the armband on Salah. And like I said, Diaz is a really good option as well. I think Diaz, he didn't look fantastic in the first fixture. And to be honest, up until his goal, I don't think he was that great either. But I think he looks better with Darwin off the pitch. I think when Firmino plays, he drops a little bit deeper. That allows Diaz to push a little bit further on and also push a little bit centrally. And I think that goal it lit a fire inside of him. You could see it. I hope that transitions over to Game Week 4 and beyond. Hopefully not against Manchester United as a Man United fan, but from an FPL perspective, I guess he scores. And I just think, like I said, I think it lit a bit of a fire inside him, and maybe it gave him that boost that he needs, because previously he looked good, but maybe didn't look worth that full 8 million. So we'll have to wait and see there. But I think Diaz and Salah, along with Trent, I'm happy with that Liverpool triple up. Very unlikely to change any of them for the foreseeable future, because in Game Week 4, they've got Bournemouth. Martinelli looks like a great option. Again, I think if you don't own Martinelli, he's still worth bringing in even after he's had the triple price rise. So I think he's the first one to rise 3 times this season. He's absolutely worth bringing in. We did discuss in the Game Week preview video, is it worth selling Saka to bring in Martinelli? I don't think that's such an easy decision, but for me, he's probably as good as Salah, if not better, and he's £1.7 million cheaper. So it probably is worth making that switch. But I guess ideally, if you can get Jesus, Saka and Martinelli, I think for the next few weeks, even though it is a triple up on an attack, I still really fancy the Arsenal triple up on attack. So if you can get those, it could be absolute gold. The new addition, the transfer that's been made, if you know my team from last week, you'll see there is a new addition, and it is Pascal Gross has made his way into the team. So I sold Bailey before the price drop on Tuesday evening. So Bailey was set to go down to 4.9 million. If you do want the price change predictions, by the way, first link in the description will take you to Fantasy Football Hub, along with about sort of 50 other tools. They've got a crazy amount of tools. You get 50% off at the moment. They have a price change prediction. And on the Fantasy Football Hub website, it said that Bailey looked like he was about to go down. So I brought in Pascal Gross. And I just thought, for me, I don't normally make early transfers, but at this stage of the season when money is quite tight, I think the extra 0.1 million that I would save by making an early transfer was probably just about worth it ahead of waiting an extra few days to see if we got any more information. So I made the move from Bailey to Gross. That's why I've got 0.4 million in the bank, because it was a 0.6 million pound upgrade. What are the reasons for beginning Gross? Because I did give you 14 or 15 in the Game Week preview video. 14 or 15 good midfielders that you could bring in place of Bailey and Neto. For me, the reason that I like Pascal Gross is the fixtures are absolutely fantastic all the way up to Game Week 9 for Brighton. So I can play Pascal Gross every single week. He's played 180 minutes in the first two, so yes, he could be randomly benched. Graham Potter does that, but his minutes should be fairly high. He's playing in a more advanced role. And also, as far as we know, he could still be on penalties. So I think McAllister took 1 or 2 penalties last season. So there's a small chance McAllister's on penalties, but I think Pascal Gross is still on pens. I did ask a couple of Brighton fans. They still all think that Gross is on penalty. So pretty good for expected minutes. Playing an advanced role. I think he got 10 touches in the box in the first 2 games, and he's probably on penalties. I just think for 5.6 million or 5.5 to 6 million, you're not going to do much better than that. The only slight issue is after I made the transfer, so it was after I made the transfer, Brighton confirmed that they've signed, I believe, a left wing back, which will push Trossard further forward. If Trossard does go from that sort of wing-back role or advanced wing-back role that he's been playing, and he's pushed into almost the front 3, one of Pascal Gross and Lallana has to either drop back or drop out of the team. It could quite easily be Pascal Gross. So if that is what happens, and it happens immediately, Pascal Gross could almost drop into like a central midfield role or even into a wing-back role. That obviously isn't ideal, but he is still on corners and he is still potentially on penalties, and he's going to play 90 minutes. So that's not the end of the world if that happens. And if I were to guess at this moment in time, I would say probably Pascal Gross stays as part of the front 3, and it's actually Lallana that either drops out or drops deep. But if you're a Brighton fan, let me know what you think down below. Let me know if you think this might potentially be an issue. But the other thing that I would say before we move on to the attackers with Pascal Gross is, when I look at my team right up until Game Week 9, there aren't many weeks where I need a transfer. Game Week 4, my team's actually pretty perfect. We're going to look at that at the end of this video, so don't skip off the video. At the end, we're going to look ahead to sort of Game Week 4, Game Week 5 and beyond. Game Week 4, the team is basically perfect, don't need a transfer. Game Week 5, the team looks pretty perfect. It's only when we get sort of Game Week 6 and 7, I can see myself needing 1 or 2 transfers. So if Pascal Gross flops, if he comes out the starting 11, if he's not on penalties, if I don't want to own him, it's a very easy transfer out because, again, I don't need to use transfers elsewhere. Particularly, again, injuries can crop up, red cards, random things could happen. But it's unlikely to be enough where I'm going to have to start taking hits and where Pascal Gross has to stay in my team. So that's the reason for that transfer. As I said, that is only one of my free transfers. So I do still have a second to use if I want to. Let's take a look at the attack, the bench, and then talk about where I might use that second free transfer. There's not a massive amount to say about the forwards. I think most people will probably own Jesus and Haaland in the game now. I know a couple of people might have potentially had Darwin in there, but then they'll, I guess, switch to Jesus if they don't own him. Some people might have Kane, but generally speaking, I think Haaland and Jesus are owned by pretty much everyone, and I think it will stay that way for me for the foreseeable future. I think there is justification either this week or in Game Week 4 to switch to Kane if you want to, because from sort of Game Week 5 onwards, I do think we're going to see a little bit more rotation with Haaland. There is the potential for a benching, whereas at the moment, I think just due to there being a week between games, I think he's fine to start, play 70 minutes, 80 minutes, and then get a sub off. Whereas when the midweek game starts, specifically when Europe starts as well, I think we'll see a bit more rotation. So maybe in the near future, we'll see a switch from Haaland to Kane for me. But for now, Haaland is going to stay in my team. And Jesus, I think, is arguably, along with Martinelli, the best value asset in the game. Both of those are massively underpriced, and both of them will be staying in my team for the foreseeable future. Like I said, I do think there is justification to captain either Jesus or Haaland or a Spurs premium attacker. But for me, Salah is just about getting the nod. But do let me know down below who you're currently planning on captaining. The bench actually isn't too bad this week. I think Ward against Southampton, if I didn't have Ramsdale against Bournemouth, I'd be perfectly happy starting Ward against Southampton. I think that's a really decent fixture there. Andreas against Brentford, assuming he's fit. Again, I think the Brentford defence is good, but I still think that's a decent fixture. He's on set pieces. I do think he could potentially return some points there. And again, he looks like he's nailed on to start, assuming he's fit. So you're getting at least sort of 2 points for him there. Maybe 1 point if he gets a book in. Trippier, at the moment, survives. Now, the reason for Trippier surviving is he's been fantastic. Newcastle defence looks really good. Outside of Game Week 3 against City and Game Week 5 against Liverpool, Newcastle actually have some really good fixtures. And if you can rotate Trippier out in those, which I can, I've got Williams or Andreas this week. And then in Game Week 5, Andreas plays against Brighton. So in those weeks, I can just rotate Trippier out. If you can do that, I don't see the necessity to sell him, because at 5 million, I don't actually think there are many better options. I think he's got attacking potential. Newcastle look good defensively. He's really good for bonus. And he's got multiple routes to points because he's on set pieces and he's brilliant from open play. So I still think Trippier is one of the better options at 5, and that's why I'm reluctant to sell him, because I have one free transfer still. I could do Trippier to Perisic if I think he's going to start. I could do Trippier to Kyle Walker if I wanted to double up on the City defence. I could do Trippier to Cucurella if I want to bring in Cucurella against Leeds and then Leicester. So I have multiple options here to switch Trippier to someone else, and there are some other really good options to switch to. But this week, I think both Williams and Andreas are fine if I want to start one of them. Game week 4, Trippier plays against Wolves. Game week 5, I can then rotate out, and then 6, 7, and 8, he's got decent fixtures again. So I actually think at the moment I'm leaning towards keeping Trippier. But like I said, because I have one free transfer and because I don't necessarily need a transfer next week, I could still see myself making a slightly aggressive transfer for game week 3. And just due to the fact that I think Walker's ceiling is quite low, if I were to make a transfer, it probably would be for Cucurella. It would be Trippier to Cucurella, and then I would end up benching Williams. So that transfer is still there. Let me know down below if you think I should do that. But I just don't think I need to do it this week. And I think it's always better to have 2 free transfers next week if I can. Still have a little bit of money in the bank to catch potential price rises and price falls. So I think the team's in a good position. The starting 11 is very strong. Like I said, it could be Andreas coming in for Williams. Keep Trippier for now. Play him in game week 4. Maybe I'll then sell him in game week 5. But I just think because he can rotate with the options I've got, there's not a necessity to sell him, and I can just roll over one of my other free transfers. So this is the way the team looks for game week 3. Let's now look ahead to game week 4, 5, 6, and look at where I might start to use those transfers and how I can see my team progressing before my first wildcard. So guys, we're heading over to Fantasy Football Hub, as we always do, to use the My Team feature to just look at how they rate my team using their algorithm for Game Week 3. And also, like I said, look ahead to Game Week 4, 5, 6, etc. And just look at where I might use the transfers and just explain why I am still slightly tempted to attack Game Week 3, because my team's just really well set up for sort of game week 4 and beyond. If you do want access to the My Team feature, there is a free version, so you can just check it out for free using the link in the description. But if you use the link in the description, you can also get up to 50% off. So you can get all of the features on the site for as little as £1.50. So it's super cheap across the year. I guarantee it will be helpful and it will improve your rank. And if you do want to support the channel because it is an affiliate track link, use the link in the description. I'd appreciate it. And like I said, I do think it will help you throughout the season too. So this is the way that my team is currently set up for game week 3. I've actually got the Vice armband on Jesus, haven't I? So let me just save that. Just so that you guys know, there is an optimize button at the bottom left. So it will like optimize your team for you. If you click that button, it will basically sort out your bench order for you, give you the correct captaincy according to their algorithm, etc. So that can really help you out. But they are giving me a 92% team rating over the next 5 game weeks and then 89% game week rating. So by all accounts, the team's really well set up. Projected to get me 62.9 points. As you can see, my live rank is at 69k. So basically, the team's really well set up after that transfer to Gross. I'm really happy. I don't need to make that second transfer. I can just put Trippier on the bench. I can start Williams. If we're looking at projected points, by the way, according to Hub, Williams is projected to get more points than Andreas. So if you're going by the algorithm as opposed to your choice, if you want to just let the computer decide for you, Nico Williams is projected to get more points than Andreas. And of course, with the slight worry about his fitness, maybe that's something to look at. If we just skip ahead to game week 4, you can see 92% team rating and an 88% game week rating. However, if I just click this optimize button and let that do its thing for me, and I bring Pascal Gross in, what this actually does is it shoots me up to a 94% game week rating, and it actually puts my team rating at 94% now, predicted to get 74.4 points. So this is what I mean when if I roll one of my transfers this week, right? I've got 2 free transfers. If I only use one and I roll the second one, I would then have 2 free transfers in game week 4. But I don't really have anything in game week 4 that I want to use my free transfers on. Now, of course, injuries could pop up. One of my players could get sent off, like Darwin. People probably didn't think they'd have anything to do, and Darwin got himself sent off. So things happen in FPL. But I don't, like I said, I don't see a necessity to use a transfer, and I would still have 1 free transfer. So if something happened, like Trippier got sent off or injured, I've still got 1 free transfer to deal with that. I don't necessarily need 2. So that's one of the reasons why I am slightly tempted to just, like I said, just attack this upcoming game week a bit more, because I don't see the necessity to have 2 free transfers next week. The reason I wanted Gross so much, like I said, I think the trickiest fixture is actually probably West Ham away in game week 3. But from game week 4 onwards, he's got Leeds, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, Palace. It's a really nice set of fixtures, and then I'd be wildcarding in game week 9 anyway. So Gross, really nice fixtures. Very happy to have him in the team. As you can see, 4.7 projected points here. If we skip ahead to game week 5, I won't do all of the game weeks. I just want to show you roughly what I'm planning over the coming ones. You can see, if we just click the optimize button again, if we get Pascal Gross in the team, we get Andreas in the team for Trippier. Like I said, because in game week 5, Andreas has Brighton, Trippier has Liverpool. You can just bring Andreas Pereira in for game week 5, assuming he's fit and firing again. And then the captaincy would probably be on Haaland against Nottingham Forest. But if you're not confident, because that is a midweek fixture, you could then switch the armband to Salah against Newcastle if you wanted to, or even captain Cancelo against Nottingham Forest at home again. So 93% game week rating, 95% team rating now in game week 5. The team's very well set up moving forward. I don't see any point in the near future where I'm going to need 2 free transfers, but I guess there's no harm in just rolling it along. And at some point, some week, I'll go, maybe this is the week I want to do something slightly different. Maybe this is the week I want to attack. I guess the notable omission in all of these is that I still don't own any Spurs assets, and they still do look like a decent outfit. So maybe at some point I'd want to try and get Perisic in. If I do, it probably would be for Trippier. Outside of that, I can't really get in Kulusevski, Son and Kane unless I sell Diaz, and I'm not a massive fan of doing that. So this is the way the team looks. Even skipping ahead to game week 6, this is where it starts to get a little bit trickier. But again, the team doesn't look terrible. If I just optimize again, we're still looking at an 87% game week rating, 66.1 projected points. So it's not a bad team. And this week, there's no standout players that I really want to sell. It's just only because obviously Arsenal have we have a triple Arsenal against Manchester United. The algorithm hasn't quite caught up on the fact that that still looks like a pretty decent fixture. Even towards game week 7, 92% game week rating. Game week 8 is probably my lowest. As you can see here, 72%. If I optimize that quickly, it could get a little bit better up to 75%. But this would be the final week before my game week 9 wildcard, when I would probably try and get 2 free transfers. I could just take a couple of 1-week punts. So I could take out Luis Diaz, for example. I could even take out Salah because they play against Chelsea and just make 2 1-week punts before I wildcard in game week 9. So the team, by all accounts, looks fantastic moving forward. If I just skip back to game week 3, this is the way we're set up. Let me know down below, would you take out Trippier for another defender, a Perisic, Cucurella? Would you use that second free transfer because there's not a necessity to use it probably in one of the future weeks? Or would you just roll it, continue with the team you've got, and then maybe something will crop up next week where you need the 2 free transfers? As I always say, let me know down below what your dilemmas are, and I'll do my best to answer as many of your comments as possible, especially in the first hour of the video going live. I answer pretty much all of the comments. So if you do want your comments answered and you want sort of that immediate feedback, make sure you've got your notifications turned on and make sure you comment as soon as the video goes live, and you've got more chance of me answering your question. So guys, there we have it. That is my team selection ahead of game week 3. Like I said, Bailey to Gross has been confirmed. That is a transfer that has been done. It's just whether I use that second free transfer or not. And I'm definitely interested in hearing what you think down below, whether you would use it or whether you would carry it over to game week 4 and beyond. If you are enjoying the content here on this channel, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. We've actually hit, for the first time ever, 2 videos in a row over 1,000 likes. So let's try and continue that. If you're watching this now and you've not yet liked, please like down below. Let's try and get a 3rd video in a row with 1,000 likes. And if you're not yet subscribed, please do subscribe. We're actually on the way to 25,000, which it feels like we only just hit 20,000. We are going to continue to smash the goals with your help. I do really appreciate all of the support. Until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.